My parents used my college fund for my sister's dream home, so I built my own empire. I'm sorry, honey, but the money's gone. My mom says it like she's telling me we're out of milk, not that my future just evaporated over a casserole. The oven is still humming. The kitchen smells like burnt cheese and dish soap, and she won't look up from wiping the counter in tight, angry circles. My dad is at the table with his elbows planted on the wood, hands steepled like he's chairing a meeting. Across from him, my sister Anna is staring at her phone, not even pretending not to listen. My acceptance folder is open in front of me, the college logo smiling up at all of us like a bad joke. What do you mean, gone? My voice cracks on the last word. I feel this weird, cold heat spreading from my chest out to my fingers. I slide the financial aid sheet closer to them, jabbing my finger at the line. Family savings, $48,000. It was right here, I say. You literally made me write this down. You've been saving this since I was a kid. You said, this is your college fund. How can it be gone? It was 3 weeks before high school graduation. Back then, college was my whole personality. I was the girl who stayed late to badger the guidance counselor about scholarship deadlines, who color-coded her SAT prep, who could list the student-faculty ratio of every mid-sized liberal arts college within a 1,000-mile radius. We didn't have money. My dad's a mechanic. My mom works front desk at a dentist. But they'd always said the same thing. We can't give you everything, but we started a college fund. You just keep your grades up. And I did. What they didn't say out loud, but I picked up anyway, was that they were surprised I did. Anna was the one they'd always quietly bet on. She's 6 years older, the classic firstborn they piled their hopes onto. Growing up, she was our little star. Such a people person. Destined for great things. I was the bookworm, the quiet one. So independent, she'll figure it out. It sounds harmless until you realize independent was their way of saying, we're not going to worry about you. Anna's great things never really took off. She did a semester of college, dropped out to work full-time and figure out what she really wanted. Bounced between jobs for a while. Then she moved in with a guy with a sleeve tattoo and a lifted truck. Got engaged, broke it off, boomeranged back home. By the time I was a junior, she was still in her old room, working at a boutique and talking about manifesting a better life, while my parents whispered about her behind half-closed doors. Then the dream house happened. They found it on a Sunday drive. The three of them. My parents and Anna. I remember because they came home buzzing like they'd just met a celebrity. Lena, you should have seen it. My mom sighed, kicking off her shoes. White porch. Big yard, that open-plan kitchen you see on those shows. It's a flip, my dad added, pulling out his phone to show me a blurry photo. Fixer-upper that some company did up and is now selling. It's a steal for this neighborhood. Imagine, Anna said, flopping on the couch. Me, actually having my own place. Dogs in the yard. Maybe kids someday. No more roommates who steal my oat milk. That sounds nice, I said, meaning it. Are you guys thinking of moving? They all laughed like I'd told a joke. No, my mom said. We're too old for that. This would be for your sister. A fresh start. I remember standing there, still holding my history textbook, feeling something small and sharp twist in my chest. That's awesome, I said. Can she afford it? That's when the dodging started. We're just looking right now, my dad said. Seeing what's out there, the market is crazy. Nothing's decided, my mom added, in that sing-song way she used when something very much was decided and she didn't want to talk about it yet. Over the next few weeks, the house became a third parent at our dinner table. I learned more about its granite countertops and great light than I knew about half my classmates. Anna talked about it like it was already hers. When I move in, I'm going to put plants all along the porch. My office will be that little room off the kitchen. She started a Pinterest board called Home Vibes and shoved her phone in my face to show me minimalist couches we absolutely could not afford. Whenever I asked the obvious question, how'd they change the subject? We'll figure it out, my dad kept saying. There are programs for first-time buyers. We'll help with the down payment. With what? I wanted to say. We're barely making it now. But then my mom would sigh and say, we just want to see your sister settled. In that heavy way that made me feel like the bad guy for even thinking about numbers. So back to the kitchen, 3 weeks before graduation. Me clutching my acceptance letter and financial aid forms like a shield. What do you mean, gone? I repeat. My voice is louder now. My dad exhales through his nose, doing that thing where he rubs his forehead like I'm a difficult customer. Lena, calm down, he says. We're not saying no to college. We're saying the situation has changed. What situation? The house. My mom cuts in. Like, that explains everything. Your sister needed help with the down payment. Interest rates are only going up, and if she missed this window, she might never get a chance like this again. Houses are investments. It's not like we threw the money away. It's tied up. She gives me this sheepish smile that makes me want to scream. So you used my college fund, I say slowly, for her house. It's not just her house, my mom protests. It'll be the family home, where we'll all gather, where your children will visit one day. I'm 18, I snap. I don't have children. I have a college acceptance. I grab the folder and wave it between us. You told me my whole life, work hard, get good grades, we've got money put aside so you can go. I did my part. You spent the money on shiplap and subway tiles. Watch your tone, my dad growls. We had to make a decision. Your sister is older. This was her only chance to get on the property ladder. College can wait. For how long? I ask. You used $48,000. Do you have a plan to pay it back? We'll rebuild it, my mom says quickly. You can do community college for a year or two while we work on it. Then you transfer. Lots of people do that. It's smarter, honestly. Less debt. It's not what was promised, I say. My throat feels tight. You saved that money for me. You told me it was mine. It's our money, my dad snaps. We put it away. We decide what's best for this family. We're not saying no to your education. We're saying you need to be flexible. You're smart. You'll be fine anywhere. I look at Anna. She's finally put her phone down. Her cheeks are blotchy. Lena, I didn't know, she says, voice small. I thought they told me they had it covered. I asked like 100 times if this was okay. You knew it came out of somewhere, I say. You just didn't ask where. My mom gasps. That's unfair. What's unfair? I shoot back. Is stealing your kid's future and calling it an investment. The word stealing hangs in the air. My dad pushes his chair back. We're done here, he says. When you can talk respectfully, we'll discuss options. For now, you need to get your head on straight. Life doesn't always go how you plan. He walks out. My mom follows, calling his name. I'm left in the kitchen with the hum of the fridge and Anna's quiet sniffling. I'm sorry, she whispers. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't sign the check, I say, picking up my folder with hands that won't stop shaking. But you're still standing in the doorway of what that money could have been for me. I didn't go to my dream college. I enrolled in community college 2 bus rides away and worked 30-plus hours a week at a grocery store. I took my classes seriously because that's what I do. But every time I saw a sweatshirt with the name of the other school on it, something in me twisted. My parents framed it as being practical whenever anyone asked. We didn't want her drowning in debt, my mom would say at family parties. She's such a hard worker, she's going to transfer. The transferring never happened. The rebuild fund never really materialized. The first year, there were always unexpected expenses. The water heater dying, my dad needing dental work, my grandmother's assisted living fee going up. Also, as it turns out, owning a house is not the magical stability button my parents thought it was. There were property taxes, repairs, the time Anna's ancient plumbing exploded and turned her open concept downstairs into an indoor waterfall. Whenever I tried to bring up my college fund, my mom would sigh and say, "We're doing our best, Lena. You have to be patient." Patience didn't pay for textbooks, so I worked. I cashiered, I stocked shelves, I cleaned offices at night with a crew of women who taught me more about hustle than any business professor ever has. I watched my classmates post photos of dorm rooms and campus quads while I learned how to scrub coffee stains off laminate and calculate how many hours of my life equaled a $120 biology book. Somewhere in that grind, something in me hardened and sharpened at the same time. It wasn't just bitterness, though there was plenty of that. It was this hot, electric clarity. No one is coming to save you. The help you were promised is gone. If you want out, you build yourself a ladder. The ladder started with cleaning. Working with the night crew, I saw how badly small businesses struggled with keeping their spaces even remotely presentable. Owners would wander in, apologize for the mess, promise to book us regularly, then ghost because they forgot. The company I worked for underpaid us and overbooked everything. One night, wiping down yet another sticky conference room table, I joked to my coworker Maria, "If these guys just had one person who actually cared, they'd pay out the nose for it." "Then be that person," Maria said, not even looking up from her mop. "You're always telling us how we could do this better." I laughed it off then. Me? Start a business? I didn't have a degree or money or a fancy blazer. But the idea lodged somewhere in the back of my brain and refused to leave. I started small. I made a free website using a template. I printed cheap flyers at the library. Lena's local cleaning, reliable, detailed, affordable. I went around on my days off, nervous as hell, and asked coffee shop owners and yoga studios if they needed someone to clean regularly. Most said, "We're covered," or "maybe," but one little salon owner said, "Honestly, yes. Our current person keeps canceling." She became my first client. Once a week turned into twice. She recommended me to a friend who ran a Pilates studio. Word grew slowly. At first, I kept my job and did cleaning on the side. I undercharged like crazy because I was terrified people would say no, so I burnt myself out trying to prove I was worth it. But I also started paying attention. I kept track of how long things actually took. I watched how other service businesses interacted with clients. I stayed up late reading free articles about pricing, contracts, scheduling software. My parents knew I was doing some cleaning thing. They called it your little side hustle and told me not to let it distract me from real opportunities, which in their minds meant either going back to school or applying for some kind of office assistant job. "What you're doing is fine for now," my dad said once, "but it's not a career." "Whose definition are we using?" I asked. They didn't have an answer. 2 years in, I had 8 regular commercial clients and more one-off jobs than I could handle alone. I quit the grocery store. I hired Maria part-time, then another woman from the old night crew. I shifted us to flat-rate contracts with clear scopes instead of vague, "We'll see what needs doing." I raised prices. I lost a couple of clients. I gained better ones. I rebranded. Lena's local cleaning became Brightline Facilities. It sounded ridiculous at first, like I was play-acting CEO, but it helped me shift how I thought about it. This wasn't me running around town with a spray bottle. This was a company. I got insurance. I got a basic accountant. I opened a business bank account. And then very quietly, the numbers started to change. The first time I saw $10,000 under monthly revenue, I stared at the screen so long my eyes dried out. After payroll, supplies, taxes, there wasn't a ton left. But it was mine. It wasn't $48,000 in a fund I wasn't allowed to touch. It was income I'd created out of thin air and elbow grease. I bought myself a secondhand car that didn't sound like it was dying. I moved out of the apartment above the auto shop where the pipes rattled at night and into a small, slightly less crappy place with good light and no mold. My parents still didn't get it. At Sunday dinners, they'd ask how the cleaning thing was going, but their eyes lit up more when Anna talked about her house. She'd complain about her mortgage, about the cost of repainting, about a fence she wanted to put up. "Owning is so expensive," she'd say, laughing hopefully. Sometimes I wish we'd bought smaller. My dad would pat her hand and say, "It'll pay off in the long run. This is building equity." Sometimes I'd sit there, chewing over my salad, gripping my fork so hard my knuckles went white, and think about equity of another kind. The kind where parents invest in their kids' education and futures instead of siding with crown molding. We drifted. Not explode and never speak again drift, more like a slow current pulling us apart. I got busier. They got more settled into their narratives. Anna the homeowner, me the one who likes to work too much. The empire part didn't feel like an empire while I was in it. It felt like putting out fires and answering emails at midnight and learning how to say no without apologizing. It felt like sitting in my parked car outside a client's office, rehearsing how to pitch a bigger contract without my voice shaking. It felt like losing my first big client because I messed up scheduling and crying in the supply closet, then figuring out how to build a system so it wouldn't happen again. But then 5 years went by. Brightline had 9 employees. We serviced 3 mid-sized office buildings, a medical center, a small chain of gyms. I wasn't rich, but I paid myself more than my parents had ever earned in their lives. I had health insurance. I had savings. I had a retirement account that made my inner spreadsheet nerd giddy. And because symmetry appeals to my petty little heart, when my business account hit $48,000 surplus after operating expenses for the first time, I took a screenshot and saved it under the file name College Fund Self-Issued. I didn't send it to my parents. I thought about it. A lot. But I didn't. It was for me. Proof that I'd rebuilt what they'd taken, even if the shape of it had changed. The empire moment. The one that made me use that word, even if only in my head, came when my landlord announced he was selling the building my office was in. I'd rented a tiny suite on the second floor as a real HQ 2 years earlier. It was nothing special, just beige walls and fluorescent lights. But it had a door with our name on it and enough space for a desk, a filing cabinet, and a rack of supplies. Whoever buys it might want the units vacant, he said, shrugging. Just giving you a heads up. I went home that night and stared at my laptop, at our savings, at my options. Lease somewhere else? Sure. But then I saw the listing. Small, slightly run-down 2-story office building, reasonable price, great investment opportunity. I heard my mom's voice in my head. Houses are investments. Yeah, they are. So are businesses. So are you. I ran the numbers with my accountant. We looked at financing, at projected rental income from the other units, at maintenance costs. It wasn't a no-brainer. It was scary, but it was doable. 3 months later, the papers were signed. Brightline Facilities wasn't just a business renting a corner. We owned the building. We renovated our unit ourselves, bit by bit. Painted the walls a clean white, replaced the buzzing lights, put up a cheap but decent-looking sign out front. Every time I unlocked that front door, keys heavy and metal in my hand, I felt this deep, quiet satisfaction. That's when my parents called. It started with a text from my mom. Can you talk? Then another 5 minutes later. Urgent. I stepped out onto the little balcony outside my office, phone to my ear, watching cars creep through the late afternoon traffic. Hey, I said cautiously. She didn't bother with small talk. Your sister is in trouble, she blurted. We need your help. Of course. It turned out Anna's boutique job had cut her hours. Her mortgage had just adjusted to a higher rate. She'd maxed out her credit cards trying to keep up. She was 3 months behind on payments. The bank had started sending letters with words like foreclosure in bold. We're tapped out, my mom said, voice shaking. We've been helping as much as we can, but your father's hours were cut too. We've mortgaged this house once already. We can't do it again. If she loses that house, she'll be devastated. It's her whole life. You're doing so well now. We thought maybe you could. Step in. For a second, I said nothing because I wasn't sure what expression would form if I opened my mouth. My reflection in the glass door looked older than I felt. Tired, harder around the eyes. How much are we talking about? I asked, because I'm that kind of person. I need numbers. Mom sniffed. The arrears plus the fees, $28,000, she said. And then if you could help with the next few months until she gets back on her feet. So basically, I said slowly, you want me to replace the safety net you spent on her in the first place. Lena, don't be cruel, she said sharply. We did what we had to do back then. And it all worked out for you, didn't it? Look at you now. You're so successful. Clearly college wasn't necessary. You found your thing. We have always believed in your resourcefulness. I almost laughed. The mental gymnastics was impressive in a horrifying way. Did it occur to you, I said, that maybe I'm successful despite what you did, not because of it? I don't want to argue, she said quickly. This isn't about the past. This is about your sister losing her home. Your family. Family helps family. There it was again. Family as leverage. Family as a crowbar to pry open my wallet. Put Anna on, I said. There was a rustle, muffled voices. Then Anna's voice, small and thick like she'd been crying. Hey, she whispered. Hey. I'm so sorry to drag you into this. Are you? I asked. Or are you just sorry the bank did? A moment of silence. I didn't ask them to take your college money back then, she said. You know that, right? I know who signed the checks, I said. But you didn't say no to the house. No, she said. You're right, I didn't. And I've thought about that a lot. Every time something broke, every time I wrote that mortgage check, I wondered if I was writing it in ink you should have used on textbooks. Her breath hitched. But what was I supposed to do? Say, no, I don't want a house. Give it to my little sister's hypothetical future? I was drowning too, Lena. They made it sound like it was this or nothing. I leaned my head against the cool glass. I could picture her sitting at her breakfast bar, mail spread out, dread pooling in her stomach the way it had in mine at that kitchen table. What do you want from me, Anna? I asked, honest. Not what they want, you. Honestly? She said. I want a time machine. Failing that, I don't know, help. Not a bailout, just something so I don't lose everything. She paused. But if you say no, I'm not going to call you names or tell people you're heartless. You don't owe me this. You really don't. That might have been the moment that saved anything between us. I didn't write her a $28,000 check. I'm not a movie character with swelling music behind me. I also didn't hang up and block their numbers, as satisfying as that image is. I offered a deal. I'm not paying off your arrears, I said. But I will give you a one-time gift of $10,000. It's yours, no strings, to use however you decide. Catch up. Move somewhere smaller. Pay off cards. I don't get to choose. But I'm not tying myself to that house, Anna. I can't become the new bank. On the other end of the line, my mother started to interrupt. I cut her off. I said I'm talking to Anna. Anna was quiet for a long time. 10,000 feels like a lot to ask for, she said finally. It's less than 48, I said, and we both let that sit between us. Then, okay, she whispered. Thank you, and I mean that. Not just in the obligated way. I mean it. My parents were not thrilled. You can afford more, my dad said later. You're just being stubborn. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm finally being the one who decides what's best for me. After everything we did for you, my mom started. You mean after everything you did to me? I corrected, not unkindly. We are not going to rewrite history just because my bank account makes you uncomfortable. We're not some beautiful, healed family now. Anna did end up selling the house, downsizing to a small rental closer to work. My parents still talk about that original place like it was some lost paradise. They still occasionally slip and make comments about my good fortune, like I scratched a ticket and a cleaning company fell out. Sometimes I look at my life, the office, the team meetings, the spreadsheets, the building deed with my name on it, and feel a weird mix of pride and sadness. I built something real out of the rubble of a promise my parents broke. That's my empire. Not some castle on a hill, but the ability to pay my bills, to pay other women decently for their labor, to say no to a guilt trip and know I'll still be okay. I won't pretend I'm over what happened. When someone says college fund around me, I still tense. When I see friends posting about their kids' 529 plans, there's a part of me that hopes, fiercely, that those kids actually get to use them. But I'm also weirdly grateful. Not to them exactly, but to the version of me who chose anger as fuel rather than a pit to fall into. They took the path I thought I had to walk. I forged another one. So yeah, my parents used my college fund for my sister's dream home. They made a choice that told me very clearly where I ranked. I made a different choice. To stop asking them to build anything for me, and build my own empire instead.